Chosen one. Pause for a moment, because someone has specific instructions to keep a close eye on you. Right now, every strange encounter, every sudden tension, every unexplained resistance is part of that monitoring. But here's the part they don't want you to understand. The surveillance isn't your setback, it's your proof. The instructions to monitor you came from multiple independent sources: corporate executives in towers you've never visited, religious leaders in institutions you've never attended, decision-makers in networks you don't even know exist, all arrived at the same conclusion without consulting each other. You represent something that needs understanding before it becomes unstoppable, not because you're a threat to people, because you're a threat to systems. Systems built on the lie that integrity and influence can't coexist. Systems requiring everyone to believe compromise is the price of elevation. Systems that collapse the moment someone proves there's another way to win, and you're about to prove it so undeniably that the entire framework crumbles. But before we get to how this ends, you need to understand how it started, because the moment the watching began reveals everything about what's coming next. Not long ago, you made a decision. It felt small at the time. Walk away from that job, end that relationship, leave that circle, step back from that partnership. You thought you were just protecting your peace. You had no idea you were detonating a spiritual bomb that would send shockwaves through dimensions you can't see. The moment you chose integrity over inclusion, something shifted in the atmosphere around your life. People who are spiritually sensitive felt it, even if naming it was impossible. It's like how animals detect earthquakes before the ground shakes. These people detected your breakthrough before manifestation, and it scared them, not because you did anything to them, because you took something with you when you left. You took proof, living, breathing, undeniable proof that necessary evils were never necessary. You became walking evidence that compromises were choices, not requirements. You became a witness to the fact that success doesn't demand the sacrifice of your soul. And that makes you the most dangerous person in the world, built on compromise, because everyone in the network surrendered something to get where they are: a piece of integrity, a slice of peace, a portion of principles. All made the trade because believing it was required felt necessary. But you refused, you declined the offer, you rejected the exchange, and now you're succeeding anyway, which means every sacrifice made by others was optional, every compromise was avoidable, every surrender was unnecessary. Your existence is a mirror forcing them to see a truth running from becomes exhausting. Different choices were possible, character could have been kept, integrity could have been maintained, and winning was still achievable. That's why the watching comes with the focus of scientists studying an impossible phenomenon. Your success without standard methods doesn't just challenge strategy, it destroys identity. Because if you can rise without falling, advance without compromising, prosper without selling out, then what does that say about everyone else? It says pieces of themselves were given up for no reason. It says peace was sacrificed for a lie. It says principles were surrendered to a system that never actually required it. And that revelation is so painful, so devastating, so identity-shattering, that proving you're hiding something becomes essential, finding your compromise becomes necessary, discovering your corner-cutting becomes urgent, because if nothing is found, facing a truth becomes unavoidable. Becoming what was chosen wasn't required to get where they are. You walk into stores and employees materialize in your aisle, reorganizing shelves, creating activity, maintaining presence. You enter restaurants and nearby conversations pause mid-sentence when you pass. You attend meetings and catch repeated glances from people taking mental inventory of your responses. Your phone gets calls that disconnect on answer. Your social media shows profile views that never engage. Your inbox receives messages that feel like intelligence gathering disguised as genuine interest. You're not shrinking, you're expanding. You're not retreating into paranoia. You're advancing into power, because understanding what others don't comes naturally to you. Surveillance confirms significance. People who don't matter don't get monitored. People who aren't dangerous to existing paradigms don't get investigated. People who won't disrupt established worlds don't get tracked. The intensity of focus becomes direct measurement of your impact. The depth of investigation becomes precise calculation of your threat level. And right now, you're registering as a Category 5 hurricane approaching a house of cards. Ladders were climbed by stepping on others. Empires were built through calculated betrayals. Influence was accumulated by speaking the language of getting yours before someone gets theirs. So when prosperity comes to you without using this dialect, minds can't process it. It doesn't compute in the operating system. Success without corruption equals error message. Influence without manipulation equals system failure. Power without compromise equals does not compute. The assumption becomes that hiding tactics got sophisticated, that concealing corruption became more skilled, that masking methods improved, because in the worldview dominating their experience, nobody gets ahead by doing right, nobody accumulates by giving, nobody rises by serving. The idea that authentic integrity could be your actual strategy is so foreign to experience that conceiving it as possibility becomes literally impossible. This is why your happiness disturbs so profoundly. You're not just successful, you're content. You're not just influential, you're peaceful. You're not just powerful, you're joyful. And that combination threatens to shatter everything believed about how reality works. Peace was sacrificed for position, contentment was traded for corner offices, joy was surrendered for influence. Living in constant stress happens because stress feels like the price tag on success. Operating in perpetual anxiety continues because anxiety seems to fuel achievement. Existing in continuous paranoia persists because paranoia appears to protect prosperity. But then you show up, building bigger, climbing higher, winning harder, all while genuinely enjoying your life, all while actually sleeping at night, all while maintaining real relationships, and it breaks the brain watching you. Your joy is weaponized testimony, your peace is prophetic declaration. Every time you smile despite the surveillance, you announce intimidation is powerless. Every time you laugh while investigation continues, you proclaim methods can't touch your foundation. Every time you rest while others obsess, you demonstrate that real power doesn't require the destruction of your humanity. The watching isn't just about what you've done, it's about what's coming toward you. And what's approaching your life right now is so massive, so transformative, so reality-bending, that atmospheric disturbance in the spiritual realm is creating effects. People operating with supernatural sensitivity are picking up these signals, like radar detecting an incoming storm, like seismic sensors registering underground movement, like magnetic instruments measuring field shifts. Something building around you triggers every alarm system accessible. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. In the spiritual realm, major blessings create what's called displacement pressure. Limitations get pushed against literally. Shifts in the atmosphere around your life cause effects. And people who are spiritually sensitive, even when operating from darkness, can feel these shifts before physical manifestation occurs. It's like how animals sense earthquakes before they happen, except breakthroughs get sensed before they occur. Atmospheric pressure changing around your destiny gets felt. The magnetic field shifting around your future gets detected. The gravitational pull increasing around your purpose gets sensed. And this spiritual sensitivity triggers physical surveillance systems. We're not talking about a promotion. We're not discussing a raise. We're not referencing a business breakthrough. We're talking about the kind of transformation that reshapes reality itself, the kind of success that makes people question whether the universe has favorites, the kind of influence that causes others to study your moves like a masterclass, the kind of abundance that proves there's a completely different pathway to prosperity than the one most people know. Right now, resources are mobilizing in dimensions you can't see yet. Connections are aligning in networks you don't know exist. Opportunities are coordinating in systems you've never accessed. Favor is accumulating in accounts you haven't opened yet. And all of this supernatural activity is creating what can only be described as spiritual turbulence around your life. This turbulence is what gets detected. This is what's triggering alarms. This is what's causing systems to flag you as someone requiring monitoring. Understanding what gets sensed is impossible for them, but knowing something massive is building becomes undeniable, and positioning to either control it or contain it becomes the strategy. Except here's what gets missed. What's coming for you operates outside existing jurisdiction. What's approaching moves beyond available authority. What's manifesting functions above all pay grades. The magnitude of the blessing approaching your life is so extraordinary that what spiritual intelligence networks might call prophetic interference is occurring. People who have supernatural gifts but operate from wrong motives are receiving dreams about you. Individuals with psychic abilities who work for corrupt systems are getting visions of your future. Spiritual advisors who serve compromised leaders are having revelations about your destiny. And all of these supernatural downloads are pointing to the same conclusion. You're about to step into a level of influence that will fundamentally alter how success is defined in this generation. You're approaching a dimension of impact that will rewrite the rules about what's possible for people who refuse to compromise integrity. You're entering a sphere of authority that will prove once and for all that righteousness is not just compatible with power. It's the source of the most unstoppable power that exists. Right now, blessings are moving in your direction that are so massive your family line gets redefined in terms of possibility. Opportunities are aligning that are going to make current challenges look like warm-up exercises. Resources are mobilizing that are going to turn biggest dreams into smallest accomplishments. Right before major breakthrough, there's always a testing phase, a period where everything claimed gets examined under pressure, a season where your character gets scrutinized by those who profit from character being rare, and that's exactly where you are right now. This surveillance, this investigation, this intense scrutiny isn't happening because you're in trouble. It's happening because you're about to break through into a dimension where opinions become irrelevant, where approval becomes unnecessary, and where limitations become powerless over your reality. Think about this. Why do maximum security prisons increase surveillance on inmates right before release dates? Because freedom is approaching, and systems always tighten grip when sensing loss of control. The intensity of watching is direct proportion to the imminence of your breakthrough. Every meeting where your name is mentioned, every conversation where your future is discussed, every decision where your potential is debated, these aren't random occurrences. These are confirmations you're approaching a threshold that will fundamentally alter the balance of power in every sphere you touch. The breakthrough coming toward you isn't just going to elevate you. It's designed to demonstrate to everyone watching that there's a better way to build a life. A more powerful way to generate influence, a more sustainable way to create wealth, and a more fulfilling way to impact the world. You're not just breaking through for yourself, you're breaking through for every person who was told compromise was required to compete. You're ascending for every individual who was convinced success requires sacrificing soul. You're rising for every dreamer who was persuaded the only way up is through moral compromise. Your victory becomes permission for others to believe that integrity and influence can coexist. While watching for evidence that you're like everyone else continues, something profound has been happening in the spiritual realm. Your obedience to principles others don't understand hasn't just been protecting you. It's been positioning you for something that's going to shock everyone tracking your journey. When light encounters darkness, the darkness doesn't make the light dim, the light makes the darkness visible. When integrity encounters corruption, the corruption doesn't make the integrity questionable. The integrity makes the corruption undeniable. When authentic power encounters manufactured influence, the manufactured influence doesn't expose the authentic power as fake. The authentic power exposes the manufactured influence as empty. So while activities get documented by watchers, the universe has been documenting motivations. While notes get taken on your behavior by others, eternity has been recording intentions. While methods get investigated by systems, heaven has been evaluating hearts. And here's the revelation reframing everything. This entire surveillance operation wasn't designed to bring you down. It was orchestrated to set others up for the biggest awakening of their lives. You haven't been the target. You've been the teacher. You haven't been the subject. You've been the curriculum. You haven't been the problem. You've been the professor. Every decision you made from integrity instead of advantage became a lesson that had to be witnessed. Every choice you made from wisdom instead of expedience became instruction that couldn't be ignored. Every move you made from principle instead of politics became education desperately needed but never requested. Your life has been a live demonstration of what's possible when someone refuses to compromise their way to the top. Your journey has been a real-time tutorial on how to build lasting success without sacrificing your soul. Your story has been an ongoing seminar on the power of doing right when no one is watching, except everyone was watching, and that was the point. Every hour spent watching you is an hour spent being influenced by you. Every report file documenting your choices becomes a manual, getting unconsciously studied. Every briefing where your name comes up becomes a seminar where your principles get taught. The belief exists that intelligence is being gathered on you. But really, you're reprogramming understanding of what power looks like. The belief exists that a case file is being built. But really, you're building a curriculum that will transform how success gets seen. The belief exists that staying one step ahead is happening. But really, positioning to follow the path you're blazing is what's occurring. Consider what's happening in the invisible realm while focus remains on the visible. Every time you make a decision from integrity when advantage was available, you're not just building your character, you're dismantling the argument that character is a liability. Every time you choose transparency when deception would be easier, you're not just protecting your reputation. You're destroying the doctrine that honesty is for people who can't afford to be strategic. Every time you extend grace when revenge would feel justified, you're not just taking the high road. You're proving that the high road leads to higher places than shortcuts ever could. Watchers are compiling data, but the data is compiling a case against everything believed by them. Patterns are being tracked, but your patterns are exposing the flaws in their formulas. Networks are being monitored, but your network is demonstrating that authentic connection outlasts strategic alliance. Financial decisions are being analyzed, but your financial decisions are proving that generosity generates more return than hoarding ever could. Conflict handling is being documented, but how you handle conflict is teaching that resolution builds more power than domination. Treatment of people who can't benefit you is being recorded, but how you treat those people is revealing that legacy is built in moments taught not to matter. Normally, when powerful people monitor someone, they look for leverage, something to use, something to exploit, something to weaponize if needed. But with you, leverage isn't being found, conviction is being found, weakness isn't being discovered. Strength that can't be understood is being encountered, secrets aren't being uncovered. A level of transparency that makes watchers uncomfortable is being confronted, because transparency from someone succeeding at your level doesn't fit the model. In their experience, people hide things because having things to hide is reality. People guard information because that information could damage. People maintain privacy because private choices contradict public image. But your life doesn't work like that. What you do in private reinforces what you represent in public. Who you are when nobody's watching aligns with who you are when everyone's watching. The values you claim in visible moments match the choices you make in invisible moments. And this consistency is more disturbing than any scandal could be, because scandals get understood. Scandals fit frameworks. Scandals confirm worldviews that everyone's hiding something, but consistency, alignment, integrity that holds up under investigation, that breaks entire systems of understanding. Communication patterns have been monitored: who you talk to, how you talk to them, what you say when thinking no one important is listening. And here's what's being found that's rearranging assumptions. You speak to the person serving your coffee with the same respect shown to executives in boardrooms. You communicate with someone who can do nothing for you with the same consideration extended to someone who controls resources you need. You maintain the same tone in private messages used in public statements. You express the same values in casual conversation proclaimed in formal settings. This uniform dignity you extend regardless of audience is creating a crisis in evaluation. Because the model assumes everyone performs, everyone adjusts, everyone calibrates presentation based on who's in the room and what's at stake. But you're not performing, you're not adjusting, you're not calibrating, you're just being consistent. And consistency at your level of visibility is so rare that literally no category exists for it. So watching continues, monitoring continues, analyzing continues, hoping to find the moment where the act drops, except it's not an act. This is actually who you are. And that realization is spreading through networks like a virus infecting a system with no immunity. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random. And if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. What's being discovered about your relationship with failure deserves attention. Because watching how you respond when things don't go according to plan has been happening. When deals fall through, when people disappoint you, when circumstances shift unexpectedly, your recovery time is being studied, your emotional regulation is being analyzed, your capacity to process setback without becoming bitter is being evaluated. And what's being witnessed is destroying the narrative about what it takes to stay competitive. In the world watching you, failure must be hidden, mistakes must be covered, weakness must be masked, because vulnerability is liability, admission is ammunition for enemies, transparency about struggle is career suicide. But you handle failure completely differently. You acknowledge it, you learn from it, you adjust because of it, you become stronger through it. And somehow, impossibly, this honesty about your limitations increases rather than decreases your influence. People trust you more because you admit mistakes, not less. Opportunities expand because you're transparent about challenges, not despite it. Your authority grows because you show your humanity, not in spite of showing it. Response to criticism has also been tracked. How you handle being questioned, how you process being challenged, how you manage being misunderstood. Because in standard frameworks, criticism must be deflected, challenges must be neutralized, misunderstanding must be controlled through better messaging or eliminated through better positioning. But you're doing something never seen at your level. You're actually listening to criticism, actually considering challenges, actually accepting that being misunderstood sometimes comes with being ahead. You're not defensive, you're not reactive, you're not threatened, you're discerning. And discernment looks like weakness to people who only understand defense. Watching you separate signal from noise happens. Watching you extract valuable feedback hidden in harsh delivery occurs. Watching you identify legitimate questions buried in hostile framing continues. Watching you find growth opportunities disguised as attacks persists, and this capacity to receive input from unexpected sources is expanding your wisdom faster than careful curation of approved advisors expands theirs. Public actions aren't the only focus. Private rhythms are being studied. When you rest, how you rest, what you do to recharge, how you maintain yourself under pressure, because rest is weakness in the model being used. Recuperation is luxury, believed unaffordable. Rhythm is something sacrificed for productivity. Operating from depletion serves as a badge of honor. Functioning in exhaustion proves commitment. Sacrificing well-being demonstrates dedication. So when seeing you build rest into your rhythm happens, initial interpretation suggests you're not serious, not hungry enough, not committed at the same level. But then something gets noticed that disturbs the framework. You're outperforming them. Your rested decisions outpace exhausted hustling. Your sustainable pace outlasts sprinting. Your long-term building exceeds short-term grinding. You're producing results others can't match while maintaining balance others can't fathom. And this sustainable excellence is the most threatening thing witnessed. Because if you can succeed without burning out, what does that say about burnout? If you can build without breakdown, what does that reveal about breakdowns? If you can maintain influence without sacrificing health, what does that expose about sacrifices? The surveillance is also capturing how you handle increase, because watching has been happening as resources expand, as influence grows, as platforms enlarge, as opportunities multiply. Whether success will change you is being studied. Whether elevation will corrupt you is being analyzed. Whether increase will compromise you is being evaluated. Because in the experience of watchers, everyone changes when stakes get high enough. Everyone compromises when opportunity gets big enough. Everyone adjusts values when pressure gets intense enough. Waiting for your price point continues. The number where integrity becomes negotiable, the opportunity where principles become flexible, the platform where authenticity becomes performative. But here's what's making recalculation necessary. Increase isn't changing you, it's revealing you. Elevation isn't corrupting you, it's exposing what was always there. Growth isn't compromising your foundation, it's proving your foundation can handle the weight. While you get monitored, the monitoring is changing the monitors. The executive who reviews your file before bed starts questioning choices made in the past. The religious leader who studies your influence patterns begins examining compromises accepted as necessary. The decision maker who analyzes your trajectory starts wondering about roads not taken. You're becoming a mirror that can't be looked away from, and mirrors show things people aren't always ready to see. Some are starting to make different choices because of what's been witnessed in you. Small shifts at first, a conversation handled with more honesty, a decision made from conviction rather than calculation, a relationship maintained past its strategic usefulness. Connecting these changes to you directly won't happen. Admitting that the person investigated became the instructor can't occur, but the shifts are happening, the influence is spreading, the transformation is occurring, and it's all being driven by a surveillance operation that was supposed to contain you, but is actually spreading your impact. The reason the surveillance feels so intense, so comprehensive, so inescapable, is because casual curiosity isn't what you're dealing with. You're dealing with desperation. The watching isn't happening because of interest, it's happening because of threat. Not by what you might do to them, by what you prove is possible without them. You represent an alternative system, a different pathway, a paradigm that can't be controlled because operating principles can't be understood, and systems hate what can't be controlled. What can't be comprehended can't be contained. What can't be predicted can't be stopped. What doesn't get defined can't be limited. Your growth doesn't follow formulas. Your influence doesn't obey rules. Your impact doesn't fit frameworks. You're operating from a completely different instruction manual, sourced from wisdom that can't be accessed by others, powered by principles others don't possess, sustained by resources others can't see. And all the watching, all the monitoring, all the analyzing isn't giving the intel needed to replicate or restrict you. The breakthrough about to hit your life isn't just going to change your circumstances, it's going to flip the entire script. The same executives monitoring your potential will be requesting your time. The same decision-makers evaluating whether you're a threat will be asking to become your partners. The same leaders analyzing your influence will be studying to replicate your approach. You're about to ascend to an altitude where those watching you will have to look up to locate you. You're about to emerge at an elevation where those questioning you will need to qualify themselves to access you. The shift will be so dramatic, so undeniable, so complete that the entire dynamic reverses in a single season. But here's the most beautiful element of this entire narrative. Your elevation won't be built on the destruction of others. Your success won't require the failure of others. Your victory won't demand the defeat of others. Because authentic power doesn't operate through domination, real authority doesn't function through elimination of competition. True influence doesn't require the diminishment of others to establish itself. This is where your story becomes legendary. Instead of crushing those who opposed you, you're about to demonstrate redemptive authority. Instead of punishing those who investigated you, you're about to model gracious leadership. Instead of excluding those who tried to exclude you, you're about to show inclusive excellence. The same boardrooms where your name was flagged as a problem will become classrooms where your methods are taught as solutions. The same conference rooms where your influence was discussed as a threat will become workshops where your approach becomes the new standard. This reversal won't happen through revenge, it will happen through revelation. The people who were watching you to expose corruption will become people learning from you to discover construction. The individuals investigating you to find compromises will become individuals studying you to understand consistency. While operating from scarcity happened, assuming your success meant limitation for them, you operated from abundance, knowing your breakthrough creates pathways for others. While functioning from fear happened, worried your rise meant their fall, you functioned from faith, understanding there's enough elevation for everyone willing to climb correctly. Your ascension is about to prove that power shared multiplies, that influence distributed amplifies, that success celebrated accelerates. The people trying to limit your reach are about to discover your success expands their possibilities. Every note taken becomes evidence. Every meeting held becomes testimony. Every analysis conducted becomes validation. Investigation becomes your vindication. Scrutiny becomes your credibility. Surveillance becomes your certification. The watchers themselves will experience transformation. Some will be enlightened and completely restructure approach. Some will be convicted and examine every compromise made. Some will be inspired and begin operating from your principles. These enlightened ones become your greatest allies, your most powerful advocates, your strongest supporters. Understanding will dawn that watching a person wasn't what happened. Witnessing a paradigm shift was what occurred. Observing an individual wasn't the reality. Studying a system upgrade was the truth. Monitoring activities wasn't the function. Learning methodologies was the purpose. Others will retreat, carrying uncomfortable knowledge that worldview was incomplete. Returning to systems will happen, haunted by evidence that integrity might be more powerful than believed. Resuming routines will occur, knowing someone succeeded using methods taught not to work. Becoming enemies won't happen, but becoming allies won't happen either. Existing in cognitive tension will be the reality. Seeing truth but being unable to embrace it. Witnessing results but refusing to adopt the methods. Carrying the burden of knowing there was a better way while being unwilling to take it. The surveillance ends not because interest is lost, but because you move beyond capacity to monitor. The investigation concludes not because what's being sought is found, but because you progress past ability to investigate. The watching stops not because caring stops, but because you ascend beyond range to observe. You'll have served as living proof that righteousness and prosperity coexist, as breathing evidence that success and integrity collaborate, as walking demonstration that there's a pathway to the top that doesn't require stepping on others. Everyone receives instructions to keep eyes on you, not as a target to investigate, as an example to emulate, not as a threat to contain, as a standard to study, not as a problem to solve, as a solution to implement. The same attention once focused on finding flaws now focuses on learning methods. The same energy once invested in discovering secrets now invests in understanding strategies. The same intensity once directed at exposing weakness now directs toward accessing wisdom. You've transitioned from being watched to being worth watching, from subject of investigation to source of inspiration, from target of scrutiny to standard of excellence. You were never really being watched because doing something wrong was suspected. You were being watched because deep down doing something right was known, and understanding how that was possible in a world where right doesn't win was needed. Your story hasn't been about surviving surveillance, it's been about transforming surveillance into validation. Your journey hasn't been about enduring investigation, it's been about converting investigation into education. Chosen one, you were never the side character in someone else's narrative, you were always the main character in your own epic, and everyone watching has been witnessing the rise of someone destined to redefine possible. The breakthrough isn't coming, it's here. The transformation isn't approaching, it's happening. The elevation isn't imminent, it's in motion. Those who thought secret investigation was being conducted are about to discover front-row education in mastery was being received. Coming to seek evidence, you were like everyone else, resulted in finding proof you're like no one else. Coming to look for confirmation, you compromised your way up, resulted in discovering demonstration. You principled your way to prosperity. The hunt is over. The harvest has begun. You are both gardener and garden of everything planted in private while being watched in secret. Your time of being investigated is finished. Your time of being celebrated has started. Your season of being questioned is complete. Your season of being quoted is beginning. Your era of being watched with suspicion has ended. Your era of being watched with admiration has arrived. Welcome to the other side of breakthrough, where you're no longer the one observed but the one worth observing, where you're no longer the subject of meetings but the solution to problems, where you're no longer the target of attention but the teacher of transformation. The surveillance is over. The sovereignty has begun, and everyone who thought watching your story unfold was happening is about to discover witnessing the preview of their own possibility was the reality. This is your moment, this is your time, this is your breakthrough, bigger, better, and more beautiful than anyone including yourself ever imagined possible.